It is live, or at least it should be.
We're live?
Should be. I'll give it a second to catch up. So
There
we're
it
just
goes.
talking to ourselves.
It's loading the video. There we go. We've got our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle background going.
Yeah, I didn't understand that reference. I think he was talking about the font style and the colors.
Yeah, I think so. Like, to me, like when I first saw it, I thought of Double Dragon.
Hell yeah.
But then I went back and looked at Double Dragon, and I'm like, maybe not.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Okay, so I've got that pulled up, and now... let me just get Twitch pulled up. So, now that everybody can actually hear us, my machine decided that it wasn't actually going to... Why does Twitch say I'm offline? Are you sure I'm live? My Twitch says I'm offline.
Says you're live. Well, now I got an ad because I refreshed Twitch.
Oh, you know what? Yep.
Oh, now I'm not logged in anymore.
Way to go.
Stupid Twitch.
Alright, I just have to do one last thing.
It says we're live.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Why don't I stop doing this for just a second? Okay. Sorry, I've got to figure out what just happened with this download. Alright, so I'm going to try and run this. Let's hope it doesn't crash Skype again.
We're only 20 minutes late today.
Oh, it's totally not anybody's fault.
We'll blame Skype.
Okay, so we should be recording episode 2. Episode 1 did not make it in to record due to a Skype issue like tonight, so that's awesome. But this is episode 2. We are good to go now. And what's really cool is I don't think the Twitch account is set up to record the past broadcast, so people are either going to watch it live on Twitch or have to watch it via the YouTube channel. So, and I'm getting a chat issue where I can't see what's going on in the chat. This has been a... Like, why is technology so hard? Alright, we're going to try this again.
Nothing can ever be that easy.
Yeah, it will not let me into the chat, so I cannot see what people are saying. This is wonderful. So all of our audio listeners... Oh, I might have it. Do a pop out. Oh, I don't want to do that. Away. We are almost got it working. Yay. Okay. This'll do. Alright. We should be good to go.
Good to go.
Are you ready to kick things off? Because we have an exciting episode, I think you could say.
I'm going to try to keep calm.
Okay.
I'm going to try not to spew out any bad language today.
Yeah, before we jump in, we should let all of the listeners know that my inbox has been full of harassing letters from TGO over the last 5 days or so, where TGO is very not happy with a couple deck concepts. Would that be a good way to put it?
It was really only the last 2 days, and I wouldn't say I sent you that many emails. I really only sent you one email where I went off.
Yes, this is true.
And then, you talked me off the ledge, so to speak.
Your cards were almost in a fire.
No, they weren't that close. but I almost punched a computer, so I'll just leave it at that.
All right. Well, so we'll go over all of that here in our 5 minutes segments.
Yeah, limiting 5 minutes is going to be tough, but I'll do my best.
All right.
So first topic.
Well, hold on. Got to pop up.
Oh,
Yep, there we go.
I
All right.
we were ready. I thought we were live.
Ready? We are ready, but I got to put the images up there, man. I'm.
Oh, yeah.
It's not magic. There is a science behind it. All right. So, hi everybody. We got Nooners and Ketracel and Jay Ledix. Is that the guy who won? JJ, are you? Is it Josh Johnson?
Yeah, it was Josh Johnson. Josh Spiderbite Johnson.
We have to give it a minute to catch up for the listeners. Someone named JJ Ledix just said hi to us in the
apparently it's him
in the chat. He says yes, that is Josh Johnson. So I apologize for just spitting out your name to hundreds of listeners and viewers. I can just call you Ledix from here on in. But before we get started, congratulations on the regional win. 24 people you beat out? No, 18 people you beat out. You won the West Virginia event. Very big congratulations. Hope you're gonna enjoy what we have to cover here. I think you'll get a little bit of laugh out of topic number 2. So anyway, we got Ketchup, we got Nooners, we got Josh. I think I saw Lethron's in there, a couple other guys. Welcome everybody. Topic number 1, TGO. I've got a timer starting now.
So Canadian Nationals have been announced. What is your initial reaction to the announcement of the prize support?
Well, like I would say my first initial reaction to it would be lots of surprises.
Lots of surprises, as in they really didn't tell us a whole lot?
No. Actually, I was honestly blown away by what they did tell us. For everybody who doesn't know, we know now that there's going to be a set of special tokens, and we also know there's going to be a promo card. And
Go figure.
Yeah. In fact, we should probably clarify. What is your reaction to the news? Because I jumped in, I was surprised. So, what was your initial reaction?
I mean, I'm intrigued, I guess would be the word. So, I mean, it's going to boil down to the promo and the image on the mat. And I'm assuming that it's going to be the same for us here in the U.S. So, I'm intrigued and excited.
So, to cover real quick, it is what we know is that there's going to be tokens that will show that your unit is committed to the Force.
I'm excited to see what those look like.
I'm terrified to see what those look like. I'm not a big fan. I love the Team Covenant guys, but I'm not a big fan of their tokens. I find it really hard to distinguish what's what sometimes. I don't like their very generic tokens. And if we're going to have now more tokens on the card to depict when they're committed, I don't know. I'm excited because it's tokens. I'm not excited because I think the cards are better. And I'd prefer to see like alternate arts than tokens.
What if it's a big token that says, I'm committed to the Force?
My disappointment with the announcement, which we haven't really gone over, is that there was no mention of spot gloss cards. And I had sincerely thought that we were getting the Smuggler and Scum spot gloss for regionals, and the nationals would be Imperial Navy and Rebels. And that is not on the list of prize support for them. So I'm very concerned.
Yeah, I'm okay with them not putting spot glosses in there. Just because not everybody can make it to nationals, and especially like Canada. I don't know if you've read the thread, but I guess there's a lot of...
That's very, very true.
It's like in Edmonton, which, I mean, it's not remote or anything, but it's on... Was that like the west western part of Canada. I mean, it's not as west as Vancouver, but it's out there.
Right.
So, I mean, I can understand why they wouldn't do that. And I wouldn't be surprised if they just stick to the regionals with those, which would be a little bit better.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm a bit bummed. I really, one of the reasons I really wanted to go to as many regionals was because I want to pick up several of those top 4 spot gloss cards.
See, I know
So
what you're really bummed about. You're bummed that they got a trophy instead of the plaque now.
Yes, we did forget to mention they specifically say it's a trophy and not a plaque. So maybe FFG was listening there, which is awesome. I mean, I'm stoked by the announcement. I like the idea of more tokens. I'm surprised that there's no mention of spot gloss. That it seems that there isn't going to be any, and the plaque seems to be gone. Hopefully, these things will cater over. I did notice that we only got a minute left, but I did notice that there was, I think, 250 promos.
That's a lot of promos.
It is. It makes me wonder if there were 250 Jedi mind tricks.
Somebody kept a lot of Jedi mind tricks.
So it made me wonder if maybe I'm wondering if like if they're gonna give us the other Jedi mind trick.
That would be a slap in the face.
All right. Well, we got about 35 seconds left. So right now, what is your final 30 on the topic?
I want to see what the backpack's going to look like because I like the messenger bag.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe the backpack would be a little bit bigger, a little bit nicer. I don't know. I mean, the messenger bag was nice, but I'm anxious to see that too.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be another alternate, or not alternate, but another art thing like Han and Obi was. Either way, I think it's good. I think it's great that we're getting more info, and we should expect to see ours in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I think Gen Con event, register an event closes soon, and then we should see an announcement of the events following. So hopefully we should know by this month.
All right, next topic.
Next topic, Morgantown Regional, no public restrooms. Please don't ask. I love that picture. So we had our first regionals this weekend. Morgantown, we'll say, was the first since it was on the East Coast. A lot of interesting things to come from it, which will all lead to our discussion towards the end.
Yep.
So congratulations to Josh Johnson. He won it.
Yep.
What were your feelings about this weekend? Or the Morgantown one specifically?
Oh, man. So I thought it was hilarious that it was... Oh, hold on. We're talking prematurely. That timer didn't start correctly. All right, so we're going to have an extra minute on this, it looks like.
That's fine.
I know, right? Okay, so I thought it was very interesting. The initial reports that came in were all very negative. And it was very much like there's no public bathroom. We have to walk through a Sears to get to a bathroom. I thought I saw somebody complain about not a lot of space. There was issues with the TO. He wanted to only run 3 rounds in a top 4, which, I mean, when you only have 18 people, that makes sense, right? I mean, I don't think that's a horrible thing, but that's obviously not what was supposed to be done. So it's kind of interesting how, as the day progressed, the comments from the players got more and more positive.
Yeah, to me, the bathroom thing is really not that big of a deal. I mean, they were in a mall, so I mean, malls have public restrooms. When we're at Gen Con, I mean, we got to walk pretty far to go to the restroom, so it's probably an equivalent distance. So I mean, to me, that really wasn't a problem. But the 3 rounds, I mean, that was like, whoa. I thought they put stuff in there to stop all this, and here we go again, kind of thing. But Scotty was there, so I guess he pointed that out.
Yeah, Josh just confirmed in the chat. Yes, we had to make the hike through Sears during the store champs as well. So apparently that store did hold a store championship.
So we know what the winning deck is, or winning decks. Sorry. What did you think of the dark side deck?
And Josh is probably not going to like my responses to this question. I think it's very interesting that a lot of people have latched on to Scum as being higher tier now because it won a regional and it featured Fett, which we've been, jokingly promoting over the last couple of months for lack of other things to talk about, I guess. And I think it's people should notice that the deck went 3-2.
It went 3-2 against freeholders and 2-1 against the rest of the field. It won 63% of its games.
Hold on, stop. It can't go 3-2 and then 2. You mean it went 3-2 in Swiss and then it went 2-1 in the
No, he broke it down. He went 3-2 against
but they
freeholders.
only played 5 rounds, so 3-2 is 5 games.
He made it to the finals. He played 8 games.
Right, that's what I.
He went 5-3 overall.
5-2 in Swiss and 2-1 in the top. We're saying the same thing. You just keep telling me I'm wrong. So he went 3-2 in the Swiss rounds before making the finals.
Yeah.
Right. So to me, that's not a deck to get excited about.
Deck type versus breaking it down versus Swiss in top 8.
Sure. It's just, to me, like, going 3-2 in the Swiss rounds is not... The internet seems to have latched onto the scum list as a very, like, big deal. And to me, not to diminish his winning a regional with Boba Fett at all, but finishing the event as 5-3 is pretty good, but I would prefer a dark deck that's more consistent before I flip out on the internet about deck lists.
Well, I mean, I agree. I want a deck that wins all of its games too. But this is a topic we're going to get into later, so I don't want to dig too deep here. But I mean, in an environment like this, 5-3 seems reasonable right now. I mean, it got him to the finals.
Sure.
And I think that may have been more to do with his light side versus his dark side. I don't know.
Well, he's obviously a good player. He obviously knows what he's doing. He went 5-0 with the light side, which is awesome. And my point was just that, is there, before we freak out and claim Fett the new champion of the world, should we be looking at it maybe a list that went 4-1 in Swiss instead of 3-2 in Swiss?
No, I agree. I agree, but I mean, I think his list is worth looking at. I mean, he's got corrupt officials in it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not writing off his list nor his accomplishments. I think it's awesome he won the regional. I think it's awesome he's playing Fett. I just see a lot of posts online of people that are just madly in love with the idea of Fett and love that he won a regional with it, which is awesome. I just don't think that we're to the point where we get excited about Fett yet.
I'm always excited about Boba Fett. So his light side went 8-1 on the day. Didn't lose a match in Swiss. Apparently didn't lose till top 8.
Well, that was our 5 minutes.
I think that's our 5 minutes.
Yeah, but we gotta answer some things here in the chat real quick. So, Catch Cell says, "I think everyone wants a dark deck that wins 100% of the time." Obviously, very, very good. Elithron wrote. Then again, in a meta where most dark side decks are winning under 50%, it's pretty good. I disagree. My dark decks that we're looking at running at our regionals aren't winning under 50%. Cray says Josh's play is greater than his decks. That almost sounds as a knock to Josh. While it is hyping his play, it's kind of knocking his decks at the same time. So, because I love what he did with his light side. I love that he, like you said, he went 8-1 with it. 7-1. 7-1. Yeah.
I think I did say 8-1.
Lot of comments in the chat, but Josh does say, yes, laugh out loud. It was really built as a fun deck around the Fett promo. So there you have it, folks. Awesome play, Josh. Yep, we're looking forward to seeing. Now, I should throw this out. It's going to take him a minute to respond. But Josh, are you planning on heading to nationals? Was that the intent of winning the regional, or are you just happy to get the awesome prize support? All right, so moving on. We got to keep going.
Topic number 3, the FFG Regional. A timed top cut. Come on, really, FFG? How is it they make the tournament rules and then they're the first ones to break them? Does that not strike anybody else as odd?
So for those who don't know, FFG had a regional same day as the West Virginia Regional. They only had 24 at their event. And when it got to the top 8, they played 5 rounds and it got top 8, and the first round of top 8 was for some reason timed, and then the second round, so the first round of top 4, I guess you could say, that was also timed, and then they let the final match play out untimed.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah.
And, this is the one regional that we really don't have a whole lot of information about yet, outside of the timed top cut and who won. So I guess we should have started out by congratulating Sarah Paulson, a female gamer. Always good to see the females winning.
Where are you going with this statement?
No, that's
always good to see the females.
You don't see a lot of girls playing the game. Is what I'm getting at. Like,
I know.
This is only the second girl I've seen, or woman, playing this game.
Yeah, and she's a local in Minnesota, and she has done very well for herself. And I'm gonna blank. I believe she won the store. She top 4'd the store championship, I think. I
don't know. Store. I didn't see anything else about her.
On the forums, she posts on FFG, and she has on her signature. She has like a breakdown of her accomplishments, and she top 4'd that. She top 8'd the regional there last year, I believe. And there was another accomplishment she won their most recent league night. So she got the Mara playmat. So obviously that was not a fluke. She obviously plays very well, and she does very well. And she's it's interesting because she top 8'd the regional last year, and then she didn't really put any other accomplishments out there. The only other accomplishments are kind of from what she's done this year. And one was winning the tournament playmat kit, the league championship thing, and then top 4'ing the store championship. So it seems like if you look back at her progression from playing, you can tell she's gotten better and better and better as the years gone by. So that's pretty awesome.
She's putting in some work to get better, and that's good. I mean, I don't remember seeing her at Worlds. I saw one.
I was told she was at Worlds. I don't have 100% confirmation. It's like 85%. But she doesn't mention, or she hasn't mentioned how she did at Worlds, so I'm not sure that she did very well. I'm not sure. So, if she was there, she didn't put anything online about how she did.
Yeah, I wish we would have had some deck lists. I mean, all Divinity of Number 4 just kind of said, "Oh, she played red and yellow cards."
Yeah, it's kind of funny. He clearly knows what she was playing, but he doesn't want to post it. And I understand some people are a little fickle about that. I think he's trying not to take the spotlight away from her, because I think there might be she wants to have a deck list article out there, and I think he's not wanting to take away from that.
Yeah, he also mentioned that he's trying to do an interview with her, so there could be that too, which is fine. I mean, I'm just a little disappointed that nobody has really put out a lot of decks about that regional. I've seen there was a Maydeen speeder deck that I saw. And a few other things, but for the most part, there's not been a lot of information coming out of Minnesota.
So to jump in, Darth Buckets, the event organizer at FFG, was not a Star Wars guy. He left before the top. Dark Buckets left before the top cut. Eric was around throughout the day, though, so I think he's saying it's a little surprising that it was timed. He said they had a bathroom, which was nice. And he also says he played Sarah in round 1. He won beating her Sith deck, but he said he got completely overrun against all odds flip in game 2. So it looks like she was on Sith control-ish something, and most likely solo smugglers for light side.
And solo smugglers 2 for 2 on regionals thus far?
Yeah, but to be fair, it's probably more like 92% of all decks are solo smugglers at these regionals. It's, or at least the tops anyway. But we got 10 seconds. Any final thoughts on FFG's time?
Just that they broke the rules, and shame on them.
It's pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty bad.
I mean, how do you expect other people to live up to that standard now when you broke it?
All right, moving on. Next topic.
Next topic. The California Regional Team SoCal Domination. Or I guess we could say the Smuggler's Den Domination. Tyler Stratton, a
Yep.
very nice guy from SoCal. Met him at Worlds. He was a
Yep.
top
Yep.
16 guy from Worlds.
Yep.
He likes to wear those. Oh, I don't know what kind of hats those are called, but he likes to wear. I call them old man hats. He likes to wear the old man hats.
Am I on an episode of Fashion Police? What
Yes,
is this?
yes, you are. Don't you worry about it, Mister.
Why are we talking about Tyler's hats?
Because I'm making an observation. It's not the worst thing we'll talk about on this show, I imagine.
Tyler
Anyway.
is a very nice guy. He did top 16 worlds. I think he got knocked out in the first round.
I think so.
We initially thought that the top 4 was made up of 3 SoCal guys, which it was, but a bigger fact was that top 8 was made up of 6 of the SoCal guys.
I did not look up that fact, but I will take your word for it.
It's pretty awesome. Ben and Tyler of SoCal ended up in the final heads-up confrontation, and Tyler walked away with it. I think they split games, but I can't remember.
I don't either. I do know it was Ben took second, Neil took third. So yeah, I know that.
Yes,
much.
I forgot about Neil, and Neil had a very awesome Rebel only.
Was it a Leia deck? I thought he just had like one Leia in it.
No, I said Rebel only.
Oh, I thought you said Leia Rebel.
Nope.
Yeah, it was an interesting looking deck. I didn't write that deck list down, but I do remember looking at it and being like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, Neil is a great player. I played him at Worlds. I did sweep him, but it was only because he made a mistake in the very last game. And I'm not surprised at all. From what I understand, he does a lot of crazy deck building and coming up with all kinds of unique concepts. So I wasn't surprised to see him on a very unique build. I think it's awesome they took third with it. And we kind of glossed over this, but they had 29 people.
Yeah.
Which
pretty good turnout.
I think is a pretty big deal. It's not. I remember, and I think we said something about this somewhere else, but we had talked at the very kind of beginning, like the announcement of regionals. So I think like November-ish. If that sounds right, November or January, somewhere around there. And we had said, what do you think the average is going to be? And we had said 50. Seems not horrible to guess. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more later, but I was happy to see 29. I was sad to see 18.
I was sad to see 24 at FFG, but like I said, or like you said, we're going to talk about that next. So we'll just let that one simmer for a minute. You saw Tyler's decks.
I did.
His dark side was basically a variant of like Big Red Bus, I guess. Because I'm only saying that because it had Devastator in it.
It wasn't. It was what? No, it was basically just Sith Control with 1 Endless Reserves and 1 Devastator.
That's Big Red Bus.
How is that Big Red Bus?
Big Red Bus was
there's one. There's one bus. Why does it even make sense? I don't understand. I think of note was both him and Ben were on Endless Reserves.
Yeah, and that's what Justin was always hinting at about a way to fight the deck. So it was interesting to see that another group had the same plan.
Yeah, but I find it very interesting that I'd like to know how many other people at that event were on Endless Reserves. Because like if only 2 of 29 were on Endless Reserves and they made top 2, that's seriously significant.
Looks like the fourth place gentleman did not have it, and Neil
didn't have it. He was on.
Did not have it either. Neil was on Scum.
All right, so final 30. What do we got?
It was nice to hear that this event didn't have any problems. No TO, no issues with the TO. No bathroom issues. Like it sounded like it was one of the, it ran very well. So I'm glad to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I was bummed that we only had one person reporting in. It's frightening to me that there were 29 people there and only one of them took to the net for updates. It seemed a little weird compared to everything else we had over the weekend. So, all right, next topic.
Next topic, regional attendance. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So the good, we already mentioned it. Fremont getting 29.
Yep.
I think that's outstanding.
Yep.
And as you were saying, we did estimate 50, and we had felt that if it was in the 20s, we'd be disappointed, right? So, how are we feeling now?
Man, I mean, I do know that initial thoughts were like 50, and then after the store championship results were like nil. We definitely changed our tone, and we're like, well, maybe the regionals are going to be like 30. Like I think the assumption was they'd probably be double or a little bit more than double a store championship. And now it's kind of seeming like that's not exactly the case. That, I mean, 18 is pretty bad.
18 is ugly.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I have my ugly as FFG. I'll get into that in a minute. But 18 at Morgantown is pretty bad, especially considering no local players showed up. That's disappointing.
Yeah, I mean,
well, when your whole tournament player base is people from an hour, 2, 3, whatever hours away, and not a single local guy shows up, that is terrible. I don't care how you sugarcoat it, that is terrible.
Yeah, I mean, Colonel Sanders points out in the chat, like, FFG scheduled 2 Star Wars events for the same day within an hour apart of each other.
Yeah, no, that is pretty bad.
Like,
I was unaware of that until you just pointed that out.
Well, no, we knew that none of the locals played at that store. They went to the X-Wing tournament instead. So, it's very. I mean, that regional list was further away as it was.
I thought it was further away than an hour.
No, they said an hour.
Wow, that's terrible.
So, like, it's that regional list was frustrating to begin with, but now we're starting to see things that we didn't put together before. That if we had looked at the big picture, which is where are the X-Wing events in relation to the Star Wars events, we would have picked up on this, that, hey, that's going to be a problem.
Oh, no, I picked up on it not for Morgantown because that really didn't affect me, but there's a X-Wing regional May 17th in Milwaukee, and then the LCG regional down here in Plainfield.
Yeah.
And then it's vice versa. July 26th is the Milwaukee regional for the LCG, and July 26th is the Chicago regional for the X-Wing. So FFG failed miserably in their scheduling.
Well, Josh points out, he said that at the store championship at that store, there were only 7 people, and 3 of them were not local regular
So
players.
they would have had maybe 22 people?
Well, I think it's to say that at least 4 minimum.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I mean, 22 is a little bit more respectable.
Well,
but
I mean, it's
the lack of local players showing up is pretty bad. And to me,
hold on. To say that it's pretty bad, are you saying that FFG didn't know what they were doing when they picked their regional locations? Because why would you hold a regional at a store that doesn't have any local players that would show up to play the game?
I think it's bad on their part. I think it's bad on the players' part. I think both parties are to blame. I mean,
it is.
I don't know how many local players. I don't know how many local players they have, but you would think that one of them would have showed up.
It is awesome that 18 people did show up from out of the area. I don't want to minimize that at all.
Yeah, but it could have been put probably anywhere and gotten 18. So I really honestly hope FFG looks at that and says, hey, we need to fix our scheduling, and next year we'll put it in Ohio or
Nooners
somewhere else.
To point out that Vegas was given a regional and they only had 1 local player.
Yeah, we've already beaten that dead horse. We don't need to go back to it.
Hey, I can laugh at Nooners making jokes. It's good times.
So the biggest disappointment for me this weekend is that FFG only got 24 at theirs. I mean, they are like the heart of, the Star Wars LCG world, you would think. You would hope that they would get more than 24 players. And the fact that they didn't do a May the 4th weekend again this year is kind of ludicrous.
Yeah, it's a little weird that they did it on Saturday instead of Sunday, but we didn't know their hours of operation on Sunday. We thought that might have played a part. So, but that was our 5 minutes. We got to move on. I need to say real quick, Nooners, I hope you hang around. I've got some news for you at the end of the cast. So. All right, next topic. What do we got?
Number 6, holding all the cards and freeholders. Do we need or do we want FFG to break out the ban hammer?
Now, you wanted a picture of a hammer.
I did.
I thought the Death Star blowing up a planet was much more respectable.
I wondered what that was for. I thought maybe my stuff was out of order. So, this is like what's been giving me heartburn this last few days. Is that the meta has gotten so toxic with this deck.
Yeah.
That the game has become less fun. It's, it's just like a negative playing experience. We're already seeing low attendance, and this only serves to lower it, possibly by causing people to quit. And it's not going to like encourage people to come. Like, why would anybody want to play in this environment?
So I've got to jump in. I feel not nearly the same that you do on this. I don't. Right now, I don't feel that the meta's that bad. I've only played in one event since Lure came out. It was a tournament of 7 people that I took first in. I didn't have any negative experience. I think all of my opponents were on smugglers. Nope, I had only one that was on the freeloader stuff. The others were on like sleuth. I don't think anybody at that event had anything negative to say. I guess what we're really discussing here is, should they be banned? Is that or ratted or fixed? Is that what our 5 minutes
banned, I didn't necessarily mean like ban as in it needs to go, but like something needs to be, in my opinion, something needs to be done. Light side should not be winning consistently or regularly, and I saw this in several comments over the weekend that people were losing with the dial at 2, and this was across all 3 regionals.
Yeah, I did see that.
And winning with the dial at 4 is kind of crazy. Like, to me, if you're winning before the dial can get to 6, like, you're playing a really good deck, or the light side or the dark side had a really bad day.
My only issue,
and if that's happening consistently across 3 different metas, I don't know, that just strikes me as something that needs to be dealt with.
my only issue is that I said back in August when we were prepping for Worlds that if theoretically a light side deck could win with the dial at 2 on a consistent basis, that person would win Worlds. And the reason being is that when you get a bye, you get a free 8 points, which is now 9 points. And you only have to do a very kind of minimal amount of work. So if your light side's winning at dial at 2, you should win all your tie breaks. So even if your dark deck loses every game. So that's 5, 5, 5, however many rounds there are. It should almost guarantee, if not 100% guarantee, that you make the top cut. And as long as that, because you have the bye. And as long as that happens, as long as, again, your light side's constantly winning with the dial at 2, you are going to just win whatever event you're at. At the time, we were saying Worlds because that's what we were prepping for.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be win at the dial, win with the dial at 2. It could be win with the dial at 4. That's still a very tough task to accomplish.
No, I mean, I've had Jedi mains.
Everybody's had a game where you win with the dial at 4.
I've won tons at 4. I don't think 4
when the chips are down though, and you're like, okay, I just lost with the dial at 4. I got to win with the dial at 3 now. This is a tough task.
No, for sure. That's or you can true tie at 4. I mean, there is that option. But I'm not disagreeing that these quick wins are a problem. I'm more of just pointing out that the issue to me is that you shouldn't be allowed to win faster than the other side could win. And I don't want to see something turn around where they start making like aggro dark side be a thing. I don't know. I don't think things are as dire as you think they are, but I understand where you're coming from.
I mean, my question is, if we've got 3 regionals coming up on the weekend of the 17th, if this same trend happens again, which is entirely possible, solo smugglers or the freeholder holding all the card decks go 3 for 3 on the regionals. I mean, you don't think that's a problem that they've won 6 out of 6 regionals? I mean, as a new player, would you want to come into
Devastating
that
Sith
sort
was
of
winning
environment?
like 75 to 80% of its regionals last year.
What's that?
Devastating Sith was winning 75 to 80% of its regionals last year.
That was last year. Big difference between this year and last year. A lot of people learning the game last year. And a lot of it was regional too. Like a lot of people were complaining about Sith last year. A lot of people were asking, "How do I win his light side? How do I win his dark side?" So
That
I
was our
think this
5
is a
minutes.
completely different debate between this year and last year.
So, next topic.
The dial. Our light side deck's getting too fast. We should have just kept this conversation going.
We did kind of stagger these correctly. We knew we were going to have a little bit more to say. The idea here is different than what we were just talking about, and it's more of what Darth Buckets is talking about in the chat. He says some really great things. In my opinion, the games are getting too fast. It's not like an arms race will fix that. Sith was consistent. Regardless, a dominant dark side is a lot different than a dominant light side. And I definitely agree with his sentiments that we are in a situation where when you're deck building, if you're looking at building a Jedi deck with Yoda and with Obi, and you're going to use Kyle and manipulate the Force, you are going to get 4-5'd quite often.
I mean, I think an average game, or just any game, should not end in 2 turns, 3 turns. 4 turns should be the sweet spot. You should have some outliers, obviously. There should be those rare games where you get all the stars align and you just hit everything and you win on the 3rd turn. First turn and 2-turn decks, I don't think have a place in this game. Darkside cannot set up in 2 turns unless you get the nut draw, which is your Sith Holocron, Palpatine, or whatever the future nut draw is for whatever deck you're playing. I just think it's ridiculous.
I've seen comments most recently from Ben online that had said things like, Darkseid used to win by just putting down Emperor on turn 1. That used to be good enough to just lock out the game. And, I mean, I disagree. I know the feeling of seeing Emperor down on the board by my opponent and going, well, this is going to be hard, But if your opponent plays 3 freeloaders, there's no, this is going to be hard. there is okay, now I need to sit here and make sure that dial gets as high as possible because I'm not winning this game.
Yeah, even 3 freeholders. If they draw an outmaneuver, your Palpatine's gone.
Yeah.
And if you have 8 cards, if the guy with Palpatine has 8 cards, well, now they got 9. Oh, I outmaneuver your dude. Oh, freeholder comes back for free. The game's over at that point. There's no coming back. It's just a matter of the game catching up to the results.
But the real discussion here should be, what is appropriate in terms of making sure that the game has a long-lasting life and we don't just run off players. When is the dial a factor or is the number of turns a factor? Or should there just be a game-ending turn where, as I said, you put down 3 freeloaders, you should just pick up your cards and go on to the next game?
I don't know. I mean, it's just it feels like a game should go maybe 4 turns being the average. If you're really slow, obviously, a little bit longer. I don't know. I don't have an answer, but I mean, it just seems like 2 turns, 3 turns, a little bit too fast, and especially on a consistent basis, that's way too fast.
My point is you can win with the dial at 4, but you might have had 4 turns. So
you know what? That's fine. That's different.
Right. So the issue is the number of turns.
Yeah, I guess that would be the case. I mean, if you've got 4 turns, you've got 4 turns worth of draws that you should be able to hopefully draw something from your deck that can do something.
Sure.
Granted, you're not, obviously you didn't hold the force those 4 turns, and I've seen it happen. We had a test game the other day with Mono Scum versus the Solo Smugglers. This was the Jedi. I'm sorry, it wasn't even Solo Smugglers. It was the Jedi combo deck, and that game lasted like 10 turns because they had 20
Final
tactics.
30.
What's that?
Final 30.
They had like 20 tactics on the other side of the board, plus that Scum objective that focuses the Narshada one.
Yeah.
So it took me like 9 turns to do anything, but they never held the force, and I was never pressured to really do much because I knew I had time. Like, those kind of games are fine. Like, if that's all that combo deck did, I would be fine with it. But when you can play holding all the cards and then just dump freeholders, it just gets a little crazy.
I feel differently. I don't think the game is in a horrible place, but I'll wait and see, I guess. But I see where you're coming from. So. All right. Well, that leads us into a freeloader topic.
No, not yet.
What?
The next one's supposed to be the dark side. Oh, yeah. I guess it is a freeholder topic. My bad. My bad. I guess I should read the rest of my notes.
Yep.
Should we build for the field or for freeholders? As in how to fight, building your deck against them.
Yeah, and where this is kind of coming from, and I think we actually touch on it again. Did we touch on this again, or is this it? I think we touch on it next.
We touch on it again.
Yeah. Okay, so we had several topics that kind of bleed into each other, but that's okay. We had a lot to talk about because a lot of results came in from the regionals, so we have a good understanding of the current meta under Lure. I think what I'm trying to avoid talking about what we're going to talk about next. I think when you build decks, I think you have to look at the meta and say, this is what I need to be prepared to beat. And if there's a deck out there that is just so good, you're unlikely to beat it with whatever thing you build, whatever deck you build. I don't think that that's a deck that you take the time to play test against. I think
so you're advising everybody to not play against Solo Smugglers.
I'm saying that if on the previous 5-minute discussion your comments were freeloaders are too good, they're just gonna go off, we put 3 freeloaders down, we win, it's turn 1, turn 2 win, you're not gonna find a deck that's gonna beat that. Like, no. That's the problem. That's why everybody's upset. So why would you build a deck that beats that or that tries to beat it? I'll reference Tyler. And again, we're going to talk about this more, but I'll reference Tyler and Ben's deck where they tried things to do better, and we don't know exactly how they split or if he swept. I think Ben did sweep often enough, but I think he split almost as much. I'm going to assume it was losing with the dark side. We know Josh, he went 3-2 with his dark side deck that had been designed to try to, hold off the freeloaders. So, no, I mean, what happens if you've got... I'm just going to say it. What happens if you build a deck, and I'm close, I don't want to say what it is because my regional's coming up, but you have a deck that just wins 95% of the time against Solo Smugglers, and then loses almost every game against Sioux Scouts, and loses 50% of its games against, Jedi. Do you take that to the event? I mean, how are you supposed to know how many games you're going to play against the one thing? So,
excuse me.
My only point is,
if the field is like 75%, 80% Solo Smugglers, then yeah, I take that deck.
But I would never suspect that it's going to be so saturated with the deck that I can't. I mean, seriously, if the deck is so good that you can't beat it, wins on turn 2, and it's not worth playing, and it's ruining the meta, what's the point of not even building a deck? But what's the point of even going? Like, if that's the attitude you're going to have, like, I would rather go with a consistent deck that will beat everything else much better than any other deck I could bring, and will falter against Solo Smugglers, because everything's going to falter against solo smugglers right now.
Well, if you're playing 5 rounds and 4 of those opponents are solo smugglers, well, you just split.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But I mean, the same thing could have happened to me at Worlds with Sleuth Scouts. I built a deck that I thought was about 60, maybe 63% against Sleuth, and I went up against Sleuth every freaking round almost. And no, it wasn't every round. I went up against Sleuth 3 times over the 2 days, and I lost every single one of those games to God Draws. It didn't even, like, it wouldn't have mattered what dark side deck I brought that day. They got their God Draws, and they won their game. So I think you should bring a deck that you're familiar with, that you're consistent with, that you know does well against a wide variety of fields, instead of just bringing one deck that just trumps only one other deck and then loses to everything else.
I mean, I agree with that sentiment. I'm not gonna build a deck that can, I'm doing the air quotes, handle the sleuth scout or the solo smuggler deck. I'm just going to play a deck that's good against the field.
Sure.
And just keep my fingers crossed that the solo smugglers deck just kind of falter a time or two against me.
Yeah, like I mean, I think my group is pretty close to locking in on a deck that will beat it very consistently. But do I have enough time to make sure that I can tweak it enough to beat the other decks consistently? I don't think so.
So I got one last little
You got 10
statement
seconds.
here.
Go for it.
Last year we didn't consider a deck that, if a deck couldn't blow up 2 objectives, it wasn't really viable last year. It had to be 2 or more, I guess you should say.
Okay.
Do you think a deck is viable this year if it can win, say, 60% of its games?
Dark side?
Yes.
Of course you would ask this question when we're out of time.
It kind of bleeds over into this next topic, so you can answer.
I mean, I would just say that I am so competitive that I would not bring a deck that only had a 60% win percentage.
And I mean, that's across the field. That's including solo smugglers, sleuth scouts, everything.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, 9th topic. Fighting, holding all the cards. What are the most effective cards for countering holding all the card freeholder decks? So I think we identified four cards.
I remember Corrupt Official, Endless Reserves, Devastator was the 4th.
Palpatine.
Yes, okay.
Because you had said you would rather try to.
That. We'll keep that between us.
Okay. So, Devastator. Obviously, if you're playing the Devastator, plan A is to race and to push that clock.
Yes.
And plan B is just hope that they completely miss everything.
Yeah, I've got to pause for just a second because I'm not sure for our audio listeners. So we've moved on to the final topic of 9. We're trying to say there are 4 cards good for maybe building a deck around to try to slow down or beat solo smugglers. Right? That's what we're discussing.
Yes.
So one's Devastator, and then you said the second one was
Palpatine.
Yes. So Palpatine locks down boards unless you're Ben's opponent.
Corrupt Officials prevents the damage.
Yep. Now, I like Corrupt Officials in that they are good against 2 forms of attack from that deck. One being freeloaders, one being dash.
Yeah. And then we also identified Endless Reserves. And then you can just use that to dump your hand.
So again, some people seem concerned on Endless Reserves. So Endless Reserves, if your opponent plays double holding all the cards, or one holding all the cards and you draw double Endless Reserves, you can play an Endless Reserves just for grins before they have an action.
Yes.
So you can try to negate. So if they try to go off during your turn, you will be able to play all of your Endless Reserves before they're able to play a freeloader and make it cheaper via
Not all of them. Like if you have them in your hand.
All the ones in your hand. Yeah, and just
the ones in your hand, you can play those no problem.
Why would I be talking about ones that are in your deck?
What's that?
Why would I be talking about cards that are still in your deck?
Oh my God, let me talk. They play their holding all the cards. So you draw your 2 Endless Reserves. You can only play one, and then they can put out a freeholder.
So, real quick from the chat, Josh says all of his losses were from games where he only saw one corrupt official.
Makes sense.
Josh, does that mean that your dark side played 5 rounds against solo smugglers? Just curious. Or at least the 2 losses, were they both against solo smugglers? And Darth Bucket says anything that punishes them for giving you free cards gives you a bit of an edge. Fake cards, free events, officials, etc.
But the problem is, like, the officials and the fake cards, you can't get out of your hand. So, like, they're still getting cheaper freeholders. Now, I agree, winning the edge battle is going to be important. But if they draw an outmaneuver, all they do is just bounce your bad boy defender, and you got nothing.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
So
maybe I am getting a little overexcited about this, but it's just a very unexciting meta right now.
So to jump back into the chat, so Josh says he lost to Cray playing Sleuths, who saw double a note and swindled backup. So God draw from Sleuths. And then Elrathron says that the best blocker against freeloaders is Jabba.
He can't be outmaneuvered.
I disagree. I mean, I would 10 times out of 10 prefer Emperor over Jabba, even though he can be outmaneuvered. There's only 2 outmaneuvers in their deck, so I'll take those odds every day.
Yeah. But, I mean, when they're drawing, I don't know, 6 cards, odds kind of get...
They have a 1 in 25 chance of seeing one.
Yeah, so...
So I will take a 3/4. I mean, he's got more icons. You're going to win the edge unless you're just playing a bad deck. And Jabba's set sucks. So
I prefer, 2 out of those 4 cards. I mean, I prefer Devastator and Emperor. I mean, I think Devastator's good at pushing the clock, which is important.
Colonel Sanders says he only recalls seeing 4 decks that weren't solo smugglers.
Yeah.
All right, so 10 seconds. Final thoughts. What of the 4 do you prefer?
I just said Emperor and Devastator.
Okay.
Before you cut me off.
I know. Well, we got a timer, and you don't look at the timer.
The timer says 20 seconds on my screen.
Oh, yeah, because you can't see the live timer.
Yeah. Come on now. All right, so the last topic.
Yep.
Knowledge and defense. Will anything in this pack be enough to shake up the light side meta?
I was just going to say finally something positive that TGO can talk about, and then he ends with, but will it matter? Darn it. So close.
So close, yet so far away.
No, I agree. I get what you're saying. Like, these cards we're getting even more good light side cards. But, like, these cards aren't going to be better than other good light side cards. So I think we'll shake up the meta a little bit. Some people might try some new things. Everybody likes new things. But I mean,
new shiny cards.
Yeah, the new consistencies of those decks aren't going to be as good as Solo Smugglers would be my guess.
Yeah, my key factor for knowledge and defense is if it's not going to make the deck faster or more consistent, it's probably not going to matter. I do think Flight of the Crow will matter. It makes the Jedi players happy. So maybe they're excited enough to put away their solo smuggler decks.
Yeah, it's really cool that Lightside just keeps getting good sets because it seems like through the whole Hoth cycle, Lightside was not getting great sets, and now we're
you got like Dash in his, or not Dash, you got Wedge in his speeder, then you got Renegade Squadron, and then there was like the Vast Nothingness in the middle.
Yep.
And then they got the Luke speeder pilot, which was pretty interesting, but he was overshadowed by Executor. So yeah, the light side come out on the short end in Hoth, I think. But I mean, I don't think Hoth Gambit's going to do much. I think it's an interesting set. It helps that whole Hoth light side archetype.
Sure.
But is that any more tournament worthy than a solo smuggler's deck? I don't think so. So I don't think that is going to matter much, and I don't think Along the Gamor run is going to do anything. I think some Jedi decks will like it.
Yeah.
Because they'll get to draw a card off of it.
Yeah.
Most Jedi decks should be able to win win a force struggle. So I mean, I think two of the sets open up some possible. Well, all three sets open up possibilities for decks. It's just the possibilities are so narrow for the light side right now that I think only one of them really matters. Now, the question is, does the dark side sets do anything to slow anything down? So we don't know most or half of the Sith set, so can't really comment on that.
Yeah, I don't even know what's in it. I haven't been looking. I don't look to the future in this game all that much. I stay focused on the current. But I like the light side stuff. I do really like what we've seen of the Hoth. Has the whole Hoth been spoiled?
Hoth Gambit, yeah. The Star Wars TCG podcast spoiled that.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. I like what we've seen. I like it. It gets me like, hey, that's neat that we're going back and revisiting that stuff. Again, I just like people have said in the chat. I think it was Colonel Sanders. It might have been somebody else. But if it's not going to win faster than what we currently have winning quickly, then no, people probably aren't going to play it all that much.
Yeah, you're probably right. Which is why it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, it's cool. It's neat to get excited about. I think it's really great when you see good sets coming out, and I think it's really cool to see the environment open up a lot. But right now we have a situation that is. I think it's different. People have disagreed, but I think it's different than Devastating Sith or Sith Control. I think an archetype before was very potent or powerful, and here this isn't an archetype. Like, this is two sets being played together that it almost, I mean, let's be honest, does it really matter what your other cards are? I mean, not to completely derail our 40 seconds here, but when you're playing Dash and freeloaders, does it honestly matter what your other cards are?
I think you definitely want to trust me.
For the protection, sure.
For the protection, but I mean, Josh had Prep for Battle in his, 7-1. He had that over Wookiee Life Debt. I think you like the Falcon, but yeah, I don't think the deck needs the Falcon because you're concentrating on freeholders. But the Falcon is another one of those units that you're just like, how do I deal with it?
So real quick, we've ended that topic. Before we move on to our next discussion, let me ask then. So, do you agree that it probably does not matter what your other cards are?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, so everybody, this is the TGO challenge. Since he is so unhappy with the current meta, I'm challenging TGO to play Dash and freeloaders, and then like anything else outside of Falcon, Lando, or Han or Chewie.
No, I want Lando
at your regional. Well, okay. You can have Lando in there, but you got to find 4 other sets for your regional.
I'm gonna play Cole, Sarah.
Oh, challenge yourself, man!
And
Challenge
Slew
yourself.
Scouts.
You're not. Do you know how to challenge yourself?
No.
Come on. Put something like what would be a good one? Put Rumors at the Cantina in there.
Oh, are you crazy?
Well, your freeloaders become cheaper sooner or later.
Yeah, no. Let's go on to our next discussion.
All right. Got a nice little transition here. All right, so I'll hold on. Let's deal with the chat before we start this up.
Dash Freeholder Ewok Wilderness Fighter.
Oh, there it is. That is the deck. I forgot about the Ewoks. That might actually be pretty annoying. Because your Ewoks can stop... Does it stop them from defending?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Escape from Ord Mantell. Escape from Ord Mantell might not actually be terrible, assuming that they actually try to damage it.
Yeah, it lets you heal, trust me.
Yeah.
You play holding all the cards and you get to heal, trust me.
I thought you had to remove the damage from Ord Mantell.
Does it? I thought it was just an objective.
Oh, if it was any objective, I'll do Ord Mantell.
Okay, so we've got 8 of your 10, and then put the Ewoks in there for good measure.
No, it's not happening. So no Falcon and no Chewbacca.
I'm trying to think of like Okay, you play knowledge and defense,
That is like the worst set ever.
but it lets you heal objectives.
Yeah, yeah, like once, maybe twice, or 4 times if I play all 4 of those bad units.
All right,
Fine.
I'll let you kick off our discussions here.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about the mulligan. And everybody knows what a mulligan is, so we're not talking about that. But we've got some scenarios that we want to talk about on whether or not a player should take or what we think a player should do if they should mulligan or not. So, is the fancy little graphic up on the screen?
Are you ready to start
I'm ready.
Mulligan 1? Okay, Mulligan 1, my butchered little thing is up there. It's really hard to make like a fancy mulligan hand thing out of Octagon. One, the program just isn't very sexy. Two, the program isn't very sexy. So I did my best here. It's up there now.
It just came up on the screen, and I think it's fine.
Okay, wonderful.
So we have our objectives: Wookiee life debt against all odds, Asteroid Sanctuary,
And we're starting smugglers.
We're starting smugglers, and we have our opening hand. Would you mulligan that hand?
For our listeners, our opening hand is Clearinghouse.
Oh, I
Holding
guess
all
I
the
should have
cards.
said that.
Clearinghouse holding all the cards, Wookiee Warrior, Cloud City Operative, Twist of Fate, and Target of Opportunity. I would mulligan this hand in a heartbeat.
I can see that. It's got some pretty mediocre units. My only reason for keeping this hand would be because you have the resource and the Wookiee.
Okay, first of all, Clearinghouse is not a resource. That is an edge card.
It is a terrible resource, but it is a respectable resource on the first turn.
It's not because of your hand. If you spend 4 or 3 to put this down, you can't pay for all of your stuff, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you can only pay for one of your units.
Oh, see me, I would just be putting the resource down, playing the Wookiee, and just
That's your turn. That's a
getting
keepable
rid of
hand.
the other 3
The
bad
keepable
cards.
hand for you.
Nah, I'm just saying, like, I could see mulliganing this hand, but I would keep it because it's got a resource. I mean, there could be, yeah, you could probably get a better hand if you mulligan this.
I just have to say, like, Clearinghouse is not a resource. Do not be fooled.
I'm okay with it on the first turn, but if
Alright.
this is clearly a solo smugglers deck, I'm probably going to mulligan this anyway.
Yeah, I
Hoping
mean, I don't
for-
know. Like if you're saying you're gonna keep, I think and your play is you're gonna play Clearinghouse and the Wookiee, then I think you have to discard the Cloud City Operative, because odds are you're not going to play the Operative on the second turn.
No.
So she's going to be a dead card in your hand or an edge card. So you might as well discard it and see if you get something better. The other situation you're in is you've got a twist and a target and holding all the cards, and you've got against all odds on the board. So to me, if you're going to play the Wookiee on turn 1, you're going to want to attack with that Wookiee on turn 1.
Yeah, that's what I said. I would attack and just dump those 3 cards.
Right, but I think the issue where I would mulligan is that none of those seem like good turn 1 options for a light side player. Like, unless that's what you mulliganed into.
I don't know. I'm okay. I would be okay with keeping this. You're setting up future turns with, assuming the Wookiee doesn't die.
Yeah.
3 health, he shouldn't die. You're going to do 1, 2, maybe 3 objective damage.
I'll say that if it was a guest quarters instead of a clearinghouse, I would keep.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see what the chat says. Let's see.
Well,
We got-
Elbrathian said he would mulligan.
Yep, and
Darth
Darth Bucket says
said
that's a
that-
great hand, but I'd pitch the clearinghouse. So Darth, I see where you're coming from, because part of me wants to say, hey, that's a great hand because you've got 2 units that you can drop on turn 1, and both of them are solid, especially because you have Wookiee Life Debt down. But where I kind of say it should be better is that, like, your first turn is just going to be aggressive pitch all my cards. And you don't want to pitch holding all the cards, you want to use holding all the cards. And if you use holding all the cards and it was something better to play, then your opening hand was like really bad to keep, because you're not going to use any of the things that are in it for your first turn.
Yeah, I guess if your plan is to just like keep a bad hand and then just pitch all the bad cards, you might as well just mulligan.
Well, I mean,
So I
Target
pretty
and a
much just
Wookiee.
talked myself into a mulligan here.
I think Target and Twist are fine with the Wookiee, but I think this is more of a hand that I'm happy to see if I mulligan into it. Like I'm happier. And Darth Buckets is now saying if you send the operative in alone, you're getting objective damage and or tapping out their force committal. If they defend, you activate the Wookiee. Yeah, I for sure. I definitely know how attacking works in the game. I see both of those options as not bad. I just think that Solo Smugglers, which is what this deck appears to be, can produce a much better hand. But we also don't know what the dark side should be.
There's definitely better hands to be had, and I agree with that. As a setup, as if this is like a second hand, like from the mulligan, yeah, I think this is a respectable hand. But I think you're right. You just mulligan this hand and just hope for the best.
Yeah, and Eltheron's saying that you have a chance for a god draw, which is why you should discard. But I disagree. I don't think you should play a deck hoping or playing for the god draw. I think you play a deck hoping for the god draw. And this hand, it's not horrible. It's just the clearinghouse. Really, if that had been a guest quarters, I'd keep. Darth Bucket says, if you assume your only objective is to win by accident, then yes, mulligan for that god draw. I agree. I don't think you mulligan for the god draw. But all right. So next hand.
Next hand, is it on the screen yet?
It is. Yes.
Okay, so I just got to wait for the delay. Okay, so the objectives are against all odds, trust me, asteroid sanctuary,
and Solo Smuggler affiliation.
Smuggler affiliation, correct. Your cards in hand are holding all the cards times 2, saboteur, sabotage, target of opportunity, and shifty lookout.
All right. So what are your thoughts?
You got the 2 holding all the cards. You got the shifty lookout, which I like. I can take or leave target. I hate sabotage. Saboteur, okay. No resources in the hand. No good unit in the hand. Your first turn is like a shifty lookout saboteur, or you just try to play holding all the cards in combo. I don't know. I think this is a mulligan.
It's so funny. I think it's a keep.
Because of the 2 holding all the cards?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that. But if you blank, oh man, you're just in a bad way.
Well, I mean, you're going to pitch the saboteur, or well, probably the sabotage.
I'd pitch the sabotage, yeah.
And then, I mean, I guess you're hoping they play a Sith library or something, maybe a tech lab. But what I really like is the shifty and the holding all the cards, because to me, at the start of the deployment, I would play the double holding all the cards. You know, if I didn't draw like dash or freeload or something off of the saboteur. But I would definitely play the holding all the cards to try to up my hand. But to me, this is more of a setup hand than the previous scenario. The previous scenario just wasn't. It just didn't feel good enough. You weren't likely to see better things. But this hand I like because you're going to see 5 cards.
This is a setup hand for to combo off, whereas the previous hand was like a really good setup hand, like before, the dash freeloader deck was like the thing. If that made any sense.
We've got 2 responses. Both are for keeps. So
I mean, I can see why you would keep. I mean, you're going to see 5 cards. You should hit something.
So for you, what's the strongest card here?
Well, I mean, the holding all the cards.
I disagree so much.
You think it's either holding all the cards or shifty lookout?
I think it's definitely shifty. If you didn't have trust me, it's holding all the cards. But because you have trust me, that shifty is safe.
Oh yeah, he's phenomenal with trust me out.
Yeah. It looks like everyone's in agreement on the chat. Everybody's saying Yoda Man says keep. Darth Buckets keep. Yep, Colonel Sanders agrees. Shifty lookout, best card in the hand. So yeah, I think if you don't have trust me down, I think you toss. But I think because of trust me and shifty, even if the holding all the cards don't see exactly what you want to see, you've got a pretty good setup. You're gonna have some fun. you're going to do some very solid things
Man,
over the next couple
if you're, the 5 cards you see is just like another saboteur, another sabotage. What are some other bad cards in Lando's set?
So Elrathron says you can turn 1 shifty plus kill a resource plus free freeloader. Apparently, he lives in a world where you live the dream every day. Every single deck you play, you live that dream of freeloaders and just free resource. That's just unreal.
That is a good turn though. If you kill a library,
you're only drawing 5 cards. You've got 44 left in the deck. There's only 4 freeloaders, so you have a 1 in 11-ish or 1 in 10-ish chance of drawing. You're gonna draw 5, so you should see a freeloader, right? But I mean, it's a should, not a guarantee. Like that's the best part about statistics. I don't live in that world where I'm like, oh, this is going to happen when I do this. Like to me, I look at the here and now and say shifty plus holding all the cards. To me, it's like I'm either going to see dash or I'm going to see a freeloader. That's my view on it. And I'd honestly rather see dash. Maybe when I pitch the saboteur. Because then I'll be sneaky. I'll go in with the target or when I toss the sabotage, not the saboteur. I'll go in with the target, probably toss the saboteur to the edge, and hope, because I don't care if I win or lose that edge as long as they don't have something that can kill dash. And then once I'm about to strike with dash, then I play double holding all the cards and blow up an objective.
Fair enough.
So I don't get me wrong, freeloaders aren't bad. I'd rather see dash here. So. But everybody's in agreement. This is a keeper. Pretty awesome. So, all right. Moving on.
Moving on to the dark side.
Yep, dark side.
So we have ×2 Fall of the Jedi and the Dark Trooper Project.
Imperial Navy start.
Imperial Navy affiliation. The hand is Sith Holocron, Aggression, Sith Library, Rage, Imperial Shadow Guard, and Advisor to the Emperor.
So what do you think?
I mean, you can play out your 2 units. You can put out your library, so you're down to 3 cards. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I think there's better hands, but like I would probably keep this because I've got removal, and I've got 2 resources, and I got a protector. Sort of. I could fall away a couple of the cards that I don't think are very good. So I could probably just fall away a library since I've got the holocron.
Yep. See, I'm actually a little different on that. So for me, this completely depends on what their affiliation is.
Right. Like if they're showing smuggler, I'm probably not going to like this hand.
I'm the opposite, but okay.
Well, I'm in fear of a saboteur blowing up like my holocron because I can't use it on my first turn.
Yeah, see, I don't believe in playing the holocron unless you're going to use it.
Yeah.
So to me, the play is you play the Sith Library, you play the Advisor, you play the Advisor, you play the Shadow Guard, but you probably toss the Rage to draw a free card during the first draw step. But my concern here is like if they flip Rebel. I don't particularly like because I'm not going to win an edge against Sleuth. So, like I mean, look at your edge. It's going to be depending on what you draw off the Rage. It's going to be really bad. So if they're starting Rebel, I think this is a mulligan.
Yeah, but against Sleuth Scouts, like they pitch a lot of their hands. So
for sure, but I mean, you're literally going to have 3 if you use the holocron.
Yeah, and I wouldn't like using the holocron. But right. I mean, if I have to.
Right. If
they're pitching, let's see, they're playing 2 cards, pitching a couple of cards. I mean, it's possible to win an edge.
So people in the chat are blowing up. So I've got to disagree with someone. So Darth Bucket says, I'd keep, but use the Fall of Jedi for the library and the Rage. I totally disagree. I think you definitely want the library on your board. I think the library is an instant turn 1. You have the holocron to play Emperor if it's in the deck, And to play, you can't pay for an executor with the holocron, so you need the library. I think you throw away the rage for sure, but I think you're going to keep the aggression just to see what their first turn's like. You know, if they only put down 1 or 2 dudes and they're both good, you know, I think the aggression's fine.
Unless they have trust me.
Yeah, but against again, if someone's showing a rebel affiliation, like the last thing I want to see is the cards in this hand. Like I need to see a bit something with a bit more of a punch against an aggressive rebel deck. I don't think it's a bad hand. I think it's perfectly keepable if you want. I don't look at this and go, hey, this is beautiful. I look at this and say, this is going to be risky. I mean, I guess you could throw back aggression and rage and draw 2. But I don't know really what you're wanting to see. Because you already really have like your turn 1 set up. You know it's going to be those 2 units and the Sith Library.
I mean, I'm okay with this hand. I mean, it's not, like you said, it's not the greatest, but I think it's a completely fine hand.
Yeah, I would keep it against smugglers. I just wouldn't keep it, and I keep it against Jedi too, for sure. But I just wouldn't keep it against Rebel. Darth Bucket says you get to see what they have out before you decide what to pitch, but the core 3 cards to keep to play on turn 1 are there. The resource, the advisor, and the protector. Yeah, like I totally get what he means. Like you can see if you need to pitch the aggression or the rage based on what they flipped over. I mean, I think rage is an auto throwaway. Like it most likely isn't going to be relevant for 3 turns, so you don't want to keep that card that long. But again, it just depends on what they flip. I think Smuggler, Jedi, it's a keep. I think Rebel, it's a throwaway. Any final thoughts on it?
I think this hand is fine. It builds for the second turn, so I'm okay with it.
Right on. All right, so final one here. It's up.
It is up. Okay, Executor arrives. Emperor's Web, Agent of the Emperor.
And Imperial Navy.
Okay, wasn't sure which one you went with. Our opening hand is Mara Jade, her lightsaber, aggression, twist, heat of battle, and rage.
What are your thoughts?
I want to hear your thoughts first. I've gone first on the other one, so
sure. Against Rebel, I think it's a mulligan. Against Jedi and Smuggler's Heart. Against Jedi, it's an instant keep. Against Smuggler, it's tricky. You don't have a fall. Rage with Mara is ridiculous. You're going to pitch the aggression. I don't think it's worthwhile to put all 5 resources. I think I would just play Mara and commit her. I don't think I would put the Saber down this turn.
No, I would hold that back too.
Yeah, just because I don't want to be stuck on 3 resources. But the other thing that I don't like, and this is going to sound weird, but maybe you do, because like that Agent of the Empire is really powerful, and I really don't like committing Sith units on turn 1 because I want to use that after I see what they've got on their board.
Right.
So I don't know. This one's trickier. I think against Smuggler, it's got to be a mulligan. Even though it's a good hand. I don't have anything against this hand. It's just you're going to have a slow turn 1. You're most likely going to have a slow turn 2. Aggression.
I think against anything but Sleuth Scouts, this hand is fine.
Really? But you're only putting down 1 or 2,
maybe first 2 cards. First turn, you're obviously, your only play is Mara, and I would say that I would probably pitch that aggression since you don't have a unit that you want to play aggression on, or that you would want to sacrifice to aggression.
Right.
So I would pitch that. So then your hand is this plus the mystery card. So I play Mara. I don't play the lightsaber. I hold that for the next turn. So then I have a twist and a heat for the inevitable edge battle. Yeah. And plus whatever the 6th card is.
Man, this hand has stumped the chat.
Yeah,
All the
this
other
is really interesting.
for the listeners, not the viewers. Everyone on the previous hands, everybody was just like bam, 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 thoughts.
The
Do
chat
this,
went
keep
crazy.
this, pitch this. Yeah, I mean, just very, very interactive. And this entire time we've been discussing this, one person has said something, and it's not a keep or a toss. It's just that it's an interesting hand. So it's very
See,
fascinating.
I like this hand because of Rage with Mara, and you've got her Saber. So
Yeah,
you're
no,
gonna be able
I
to
agree.
you're gonna be able to do some damage to their board state on your turn.
What I don't like is that you're going to have either 4 or 5 cards against a potential first turn holding all the cards.
Yeah, that is that is pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie, that is terrible. That is a valid point. But against the rest of the decks that you could possibly see, this is a completely fine hand. Against if I'm playing solo smugglers, I'm thinking long and hard. I'm like, man, I can only play one card this turn. Yeah, I would probably mulligan against that then. That I would see, but otherwise, I think this is a keeper against everybody else.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I actually I'm trying to think if I want my opponent to play holding all the cards against me here, because Mara puts a shield on her, so if they just play one freeloader, Mara's fine. Like, she's only going to take 1 point of or no point of damage against one if she wins the edge. If she loses the edge against one, she can't get locked down, and she only takes 2 points of damage. You've got Rage and her Saber for her next turn, and if they only play the one freeloader, if you hit another unit, you're fine with that aggression. Well, no, you probably pitched the aggression. So.
We decided that we pitched the aggression.
Yeah. But you see what I'm saying? Like, it almost depends on solo smugglers on how many freeloaders they see. On how
if they can only put one out, I think you're okay. But if they put out multiples,
yeah, like it's really interesting. It really comes down to things that are just kind of out of your control. So I guess I don't like it against Sleuth, and it's probably not great against solo smugglers. So I think it's probably a toss unless they start Jedi. If they start Jedi, man, you're like, yeah.
You're grinning ear to ear with this hand.
What's that?
So if they start Jedi, do you have just like a smile on your face that you can't contain?
No, you just say keep faster than you ever would. But it's interesting. Like I always, I don't know if other people do, but I laugh when people like they're looking at their opening hand and they're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to keep or not. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to keep. And then they end up keeping. I always go, yeah, you've got a great hand. Just shut up. like mentally, that's what I'm thinking, right? Like, if you're agonizing over it that much and you kept it, you're full of it. And that's obviously a great hand. And you're trying to, like, make me, I don't care what my opponent's opening hands are, especially in this environment. Like, you've either got it or you don't, Like, as a light side player, you've either got it or you don't. So I don't know. That's my way of saying I like that we're talking about mulligan, but people that try to like showboat with their thinking of mulligan, like don't do that. You're just wasting your time.
What about the people that mulligan and then they're like, oh, like
that
this,
I always feel that's genuine.
Really? 'Cause
Yeah.
I do that all the time. Even when I draw good hands, I'm just like, oh, this hand's terrible. And then I proceed to like just play like the best hand ever.
Everybody listening and watching, from now on, if you play TGO, just always assume he's full of it.
That's probably a good bit of advice.
But yeah, so we actually are on time. We started 15 minutes late. We finished 15 minutes late.
Actually, we started 20 minutes late, so we're kind of ahead of schedule here.
Stupid thing. Like it was just so frustrating. Every time I tried to launch Skype, it would just say Skype has crashed. Like I would close everything, and I didn't want to. I reinstalled it, and it still did it. And I didn't want to restart my machine because I had Twitch set up with all of our images and stuff, and I didn't know if I shut everything down if I would have to re-put all the image work into Twitch. So yeah, giant pain. But as long as Skype behaves next time, we won't have a delay.
So episode 2 in the books.
Episode 2, it looked like we peaked around 15 or 16 So
Yeah.
few less than last time, but we expected that due to the no spoilers this time. So
We actually hit our numbers that we expected last time. Like with this episode, like we only expected what, like 13 or so.
yeah, I was thinking 10 or 12. I was thrilled that we had this much. So thank you everybody for tuning
Yeah.
in. This is awesome. We really like that we like that we're able to reach everybody this way. We hope everybody else likes interacting this way. The responses from the chat are great. We try to include them as much as we can.
I'm really glad
Definitely-
everybody liked this discussion.
Yeah,
The mulligan.
yeah, because
I was
it could go either way, right? Like
I was
if
kind
this
of, yeah. I was like, man, it really could be hit or miss on this, but everybody really liked it, and I'm happy because
We'll
we
definitely
want to do
revisit
this
it in
on
the
our
future.
cast, but we're like, oh, they can't visualize it, you know.
So
They
in
need
re-
visuals.
In response to getting 14 or 15 people for the cast, Darth Buckets won the chat session by saying that's almost regional numbers.
Yes.
It's very true. It is almost regional numbers, yes. So thankfully, you don't only not have to travel very far for this, but you can also listen and watch in your underwear. You can't do that at regionals, so that makes all the difference. So.
I totally just cracked my knuckles so everybody could hear. I apologize.
And then you you had a discussion about it. So we're going to be doing it again next week, right? And next week will be. There's actually something I want to talk about during the cast. Before we jump out, during the cast, I hopped over to FFG's page, and I noticed that Knowledge and Defense has not gone shipping yet, and
I've been watching that all day.
it's today or tomorrow that is the cutoff, I believe.
Something like that. Yeah, I mean, unless it's on a really fast boat.
Yeah, so there are 3 regionals next weekend, not this upcoming weekend, but the weekend
The
after.
17th.
Yeah, and in order for the meta to possibly shake up and things to be a little crazy and people to have wasted time playtesting, the set has to go shipping either today or tomorrow. I don't even think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think on Lure, it was Lure Heroes. One of them went shipping on like a Thursday or Friday, and everybody assumed we were going to get it like the next week, but it was actually the week after that. I think that was Heroes.
I think it was the first set, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So I do think we're most likely, as long as it doesn't go shipping before today ends, I think we're most likely past the hurdle.
You know what? Part of me wants it to arrive for next weekend. Part of me doesn't. I don't know. If it arrives, I'm playing Moldy Crow. I'm not playing no Solo Smugglers. I'm going with new cards.
But we just had a discussion about this amazing Solo Smuggler build you're going to be on.
I will deny the challenge and go with Moldy Crow. I will go with Moldy Jedi.
Oh, that's so the name of future decks. That's awesome.
Moldy Jedi.
There are going to be things
I have
called
dubbed
Moldy
it. It is mine.
Yep. So before we bail, any last questions? Anything from the cast? People have anything they want to ask us or want us to cover real quick? We have a minute delay, so I know you've been tested. Are you feeling? I think your frustration with the freeloader stuff is because you've got a regional. I think you probably wouldn't be as frustrated with the situation if your regional wasn't on the horizon.
I'm frustrated for multiple reasons. And yeah, the regional is part of it, and we've discussed the other part, whether or not you remember or not. But
Nooners jumps in and says, "Where's my news?" And he calls me a betch. Spelled not B-I-T-C-H, B-E-T-C-H. So I am appreciative of him saying that. So Nooners, I can't hear you scream or go crazy. I was actually going to do it during your guys' live cast because I was hoping for a crazy scream and lots of yelling and whatnot. Not that the news is worthy of that, but we will be in attendance in Vegas. Not we as in TGO, but we as in the Flip the Force crew. So I
Not too
know.
cheap to pay for a flight to Vegas.
I was gonna talk to you about it. We were gonna be like, dude, you should really fly out to Vegas.
No, I'm pretty sure the wife would say no.
So we're very excited. Team Flip is looking very forward to hanging out with Team Rumors. We've got streaming rights, dibs. There's no streaming going to be happening. We're we're not out there yet. DJ, I think you're out there in Vegas too, so that'll be awesome. Darth Buckets is going to be in Vegas. So basically, TGO is the only person not going to be in Vegas.
Sorry, I have a wife and child. So
Oh, you're just such a
can't wait
slacker.
can't wait till you have one of those. Child, that is. They
Oh
just suck
man,
the life right out of you.
I hear you. You do love her though. Like,
I do, but you know they
you
suck
can't
the
just
fun,
leave it as they suck the life right. Like I mean,
they
it's so
suck the fun
negative.
right out of life.
It
man.
was so negative. Like you would have, done something different had you had the choice or something. Like,
Well, you know,
no, I know you.
if there's
She's
a
your
possibility,
princess. She's your princess.
she is. But if there's a possibility that a time machine is ever created, I might take that trip.
DJ, I agree. Vegas is going to end up as the largest regional with 35 people. That was a joke. The number. Darth Buckets. I hope they have a bathroom. I have some concerns. Nooners, you went out there. Did they? They do have a bathroom. DJ is going to be the most competitive, at least. Nooners, did they have the event in their store for their store championship? Because their store is not really that. Their store cannot hold 64 people. And they they kicked everybody out by 5 o'clock on a Sunday. So I'm a little concerned on where. I'm hoping they're renting out something, but because I know they do that for their Magic events. It's a big Magic store. Like they're like the only real place in town for Magic.
They're gonna make everybody sit out on the ground in the parking lot, and then mall security is gonna kick you out at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, Neener says we don't know how it'd fit a regional. I don't think it will. I think it's going to be very no fun. But I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to get a good gauge because, there were 29 in California, right? But I guess the real question is how many of those people are going to make it over to the Vegas event? Because we already know nobody really from Vegas plays. So it's really going to be majority of players are going to be out of towners. That's what I think. So it really is going to depend on how many people are going to come into it, and I think there are going to be several. I'd be surprised if they hit 50, but I think it's going to definitely be somewhere between 35 and 50.
Boy, do you have high hopes.
You don't think it'll hit? I mean, SoCal hit 29. You don't think Vegas will hit higher?
Well, they have no local players, so it's all out of towners.
Yeah, but like Nooners, their group is at least 6 or more. I think he said there's like 8 of them. And then I believe SoCal, there's at least 6 of them going.
So you're at 14.
Yeah, but if you add the people on the chat that have said they're going, that's 16. Obviously, we make up a couple, so there's going to be 18 or so. And I've got friends in Vegas that might be playing, so...
So you only need 20 more people. I think Philadelphia or New Jersey or wherever it's at is going to be the biggest one.
People in the chat are mentioning Deck Tech from the CCG days. For those who don't know, Neil, who created Deck Tech, is still around and kicking, but he is not playing any card games currently. Yeah, Nooners, aren't you play? He said we're taking 6 players. I count 6. Do you see 7?
I see 6. I'm confused.
I don't know what he's talking about.
I don't either.
Oh, the hand size. The hand size says 7. That's because there was I had to Photoshop a card in, so I threw in a different set so I could copy that card. That's why it says 7. There are not 7 cards. There's only 6 cards on display. He's just talking about the hand size number. Yeah, I could see New Jersey having the biggest regional.
I hope Plainfield has more than Vegas.
You hope or you think?
I think and I hope.
Wow. Why do you think Plainfield will be so big?
I just, it's where I'm going to play, so I want there to be more people there. I mean, actually, I only want there to be like 2 people there. I'm not going to lie. Make it just a little bit easier to win all those nice prizes, but that's unrealistic. So,
Nooner says they're bringing 6 plus 4 to 7 other people from the meta who are making the drive out. Some of them were top 16 at Gen Con last year. Is he saying some of those people were, or is he saying, because like Tyler and myself both top 16, so like are we going to have like a top 16? Is he saying there's more than those 2?
Well, he said top 16 from Gen Con. Top 16 from Gen Con.
Oh yeah, Gen Con. I can't read.
My entourage is 4 deep. 3 deep, sorry. We lost one.
Steve? Eminem?
No. No, he's
Wait,
he's
who's
still
the
around.
one you lost? Because there's 4 of you if Steve's still in.
Well, no, like an entourage doesn't include you. So my entourage is 3 deep: Steve, Justin, and Jarrett.
Okay.
There used to be 4, but he's going to Milwaukee to play in the X-Wing regional.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Nooners, how long are you guys staying in Vegas? And do you guys play poker? Because if you do, I can get a table requested at one of the local casinos. I thought it'd be fun to, after one night, just go and hit up one of the tables and just take up an entire table with just a crew of us having a good
Beat
time.
them at Star Wars and then take all their money. That's very nice.
I don't think we want to go after. Like, I think the event's going to have more than 32 people, so I think it's going to be a 6-round top 8, and I think that's going to be a really long day.
I hope you guys have to play till 2 in the morning.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I know I think we're flying out on Sunday, and we weren't, like, there was like a 1 a.m. flight, and we didn't want to book it because we didn't think it would wrap up in enough time to get to the airport.
There's only going to be 31 people there. You're just going to play 5 rounds.
Wow, Nooners, why aren't you guys staying for very long? We're going out there. We're going to be there for like a whole week. He says that they're only going through Friday. Everybody else is staying through Monday. He's going to leave Sunday. Oh, Colonel Sanders is heading to Plainfield. That's pretty sweet.
He said he might. I hope he does. I want to see a bunch of people from Ohio come out.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, we can wrap things up. We will be back at this again next week. We are going to have a wonderful new 10 topics. It might feel like a little diluted, because it's going to be like 10 topics about the upcoming regional for the most part, I would guess.
And hopefully I'm calmed down by next week.
Yes. We will send you lots of chocolates or something.
Oh, I love chocolate.
See, if this had been one of those things where I needed to make the little sound bites for the intro, that would have been the ultimate.
Yeah? I do what I can.
But yeah, so we'll be back next week, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Bring your friends. And thanks for tuning in today. Appreciate hitting that 15. We'd love to see it up to 20 or 30. Hopefully soon. Maybe as more things kick on.
If we hit over 20 people next week, I will do the challenge.
Oh,
I
there
will
it
even
is,
play
everybody.
Ewoks.
Everybody make fake accounts.
No, that's just a jerk move.
All right. Well, TGO, stay on. I'm going to sign off with everybody. And actually, TGO, I'm going to call you right back.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for tuning in,
Later, guys.
everybody. Hope you liked the episode, and we'll catch you next week.